In this learning module, we will talk about the male gaze. In this module, I will define the male gaze, describe its implications, focusing specifically on what we see based on this gaze, explain how the male gaze is accomplished, and explore how the male gaze affects how we perceive women and men. The male gaze is a term discussed by Laura Mulvey in her essay, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema in 1975. Laura Mulvey coined the term male gaze in 1975, and it states that because men control the camera, we view characters from the perspective of a heterosexual male. Female characters are sexualized, and the camera may zero in on female body parts considered sexual. The concept of the gaze is one that deals with how an audience views the people that are presented. For feminists, we can think about it in three ways: how men look at women, how women look at themselves, and how women look at other women. For Mulvey, the proverbial camera of the male gaze lingers on the curves of the female body, and events that occur to women are presented largely in the context of the man's reaction to these events. This practice denies women's human identity, regulating them to the status of objects. The female viewer must experience the narrative secondarily, by identification with men. The theory also suggests that women can more often than not watch a film from a secondary perspective and only view themselves from a man's perspective. According to Jonathan Schroeder in 1998, the gaze implies more than to look at. It signifies a psychological relationship of power in which the gazer is superior to the object of the gaze. In film, the male gaze occurs when the audience is put into the perspective of a heterosexual male. A scene may focus on the curves of a woman's body, putting you, the viewer, in the eyes of a male. These curves are usually highlighted with specific conventions, such as slow motion, deliberate camera movement, and cutaways. The male gaze leads to hegemonic ideologies within our society. Hegemonic meaning ruling or dominant in a political or social context. How does this happen? As noted above, the male gaze serves to normalize heteronormative and masculine value, which perpetuates these practices among men. Moreover, as Mulvey argues, for women, the result of media being presented from the perspective of a man and through the gaze, women find themselves at times taking on the male gaze. Women then gaze at other women in the same ways that men would, and thus end up objectifying other women. This is an ad for a Nixon camera. It should be clear from the imagery that this ad seeks to objectify women in it. If we talk about the male gaze, we can see that there are two young women. They're young, white, they're pretty, they are in a suggestive posture, and we need to think about what the camera is focusing on. We can assume that a man is taking this picture. Also, if you look in the background, you also see that the window is open, and we have men actually looking through the windows, looking at the young women. So women's bodies are on display. We see women smiling as if to invite men to look at them. We also see the women staring directly into the camera and then placing their hands on their body in a suggestive manner. So if we can continue to look at these things and think about some other ways that we see the male gaze working in regards to putting women's bodies on display, I think it's an interesting conversation about the male gaze and how we perpetuate the objectification of women.